Welcome back, everybody, to the Slim Clippers. I'm Wes, and I've got David here with me again. David, we're going to jump into session number 2, lesson number 2. As far as comics are concerned, you so much for coming over here again, my friend.
Well, thank you. And welcome back, everyone, to Wes Learns Comics. So, again, I'm going to start this with just saying the same thing as I said last week. I'm not a comic expert. I've started collecting about 4 years ago, but I've done a lot of research. I've done a lot of reading. I have a weekly show that I do on the Breeze Flippers Comic Corner, and I talk a little bit about comics. So Wes asked me, he wants to learn a little bit about comics because he's looking for, I don't know, something else to buy.
Well, I'm looking for some collections too. If you look
exactly. So, but that last week we gave Wes a little bit of homework. I asked him to visit a local comic book shop to look around, find some characters and styles that interest him, see what he liked, to pick up some inexpensive books, and to maybe get a chance to kind of breeze through them to see what he liked about them. And then, but it wasn't, an assignment to go find a key or something he could flip for grading or do something, but it was really about just learning about what he wanted to read or what he was interested in. So, because before you can really research a comic or collect or run or sell it correctly, you really got to learn how to identify it. And that's one of the things that we're going to kind of talk about. So, Wes, before we look at the books, tell us about your visit.
Well, I'll be honest, Dave. I was nervous from the get-go. I ended up over in Knoxville, Tennessee. I went to the Comic Exchange there, had a wonderful time. And I went to also one over in Maryville after that. But I kind of want to focus on the Comic Exchange in Knoxville. They were super nice. When I first opened the door, I was like, I'm not going to be able to do this. Like it's lumping my throat. I'm like, I don't know anything about this. If you've ever stepped out of your comfort zone and try to do something you've never done before, you understand the feeling where I was.
I know exactly how you feel. I know exactly how you feel.
But I walked up to the nice guy that was running the cash register. His name is Paul. So shout out to you, Paul, at the Comic Exchange. And I said, hey, this is where I'm at. I don't know anything about it. And there was actually a patron in there. He was looking at comics himself. And I said, could you help me? And the guy behind me said, that guy knows everything. He said, he's the one you need to talk to. And so I said, well, great. With that, would you mind if I film this meet up with you? And he said, yeah, come on, love to. So that's awesome. I put up a 15-minute video on our experience here on my channel, the Slim Flippers. If you haven't seen it yet, take a look at it. And the guy was very knowledgeable, super nice, and he took his time with me, and I really did appreciate that experience from him.
So when you walked into the comic book store, how was it kind of laid out? Did they have like new stuff up there? Did they have old stuff? I mean, what did you see, like back issues, dollar bins? What was it laid out like?
They had all that. They had their dollar bins up the very front of the store,
which is typical.
And then they had a long table, like runs of tables all the way down the middle, and it just had boxes upon boxes upon boxes. But they were grouped like by their characters. Because he took me into one of those and said, because he asked me, he said, "What are you looking for?" And I said, well, Batman. And he showed me like 2 or 3 boxes full. All it was Batman.
Well, that's awesome. So that would be the section that kept pulling you back. So Batman seems to be where you're interested, but
it is.
Did you feel a little overwhelmed when you first walked in there?
Oh, 100%. Well, for 2 reasons. Number one, I didn't know what I was doing. Yeah. And number 2, I could not believe how many comics that store had.
Yeah.
I've never seen that many comics in my life.
That's awesome. Well, a good local comic book shop can be, more than just a place to buy books. It's a gathering place. It's a place for other people like yourself to kind of go to and start talking. And I enjoy it as much as anybody. I go and talk to people, and every time I go into a comic book shop, there's somebody in there, which is great. So, but it also is great because you did the right thing. You talked to the store employee. You found out some things that are interesting you, that are interested you, and basically you were researching, which is great. I mean, what's really good is like at some point you can learn to go back to that comic book shop. If you find a series that you like, you can create a pull list, and a pull list is basically every time a new issue comes out, they drop it into your box, and you can get that box monthly. That's one of the things that I like doing because I have about 3 or 4 or maybe 5 series that I'm getting a pull list for every month. So there's always books in there. I can always find them. But and it's also a great time that as we start learning a little bit more about some of these, like you can also find, you know, your first prints, variants, or reprints. And you can also find some great opportunities in the dollar bin, which I think you did for inexpensive reader books. And we can talk about those too. So after looking through the store and choosing these books, what do you think attracted you the most?
The artwork.
Yeah.
100% the artwork, because I was just amazed at some of the stuff they had on the wall, some of the characters that they had, some of those life-size figures, and some of the figures like I have behind me. And I was just kind of mesmerized looking at everything they had. And he talked about different things, and something you don't know, I haven't shared with you at all, a certain artist, and I'll talk about that later, that they've had in the store.
Oh, cool. So they actually had somebody come in for a signing.
Yeah, they've had that several times. So I'm pretty excited to hear about this.
Boy, you're in a great place. If you can get that, that's awesome, because I'm in an area where I don't get many of those, and that's really hard to come by. But if you're in a bigger market like you are, that's exciting. So did you find some stuff? I mean, after you going through all these different books and start looking at stuff, which book did you find a book that you might be excited to read?
I did. The one that I focused on was the one that you talked about, Absolute Batman, how that's an ulterior universe, or is that right?
Alternate universe. It more or less is, yeah, it's just a totally different timeline. Comics have a wonderful ability to create multiple timelines or multiple universes. You know, you got the Marvel universe, which is like multiple worlds, the DC universe, multiple worlds. So yeah, that's just one of the worlds. So
well, I had that in my mind when I went in. Number one is Batman. Number two, I remember you telling me Absolute Batman in the alternate universe. And so when I went up to him, the very first thing he asked me, he says, "What are you interested in?" I said, "Batman." He goes, "Oh, I may have just the thing for you." He walks around the counter. You can see it on the video. And he pulls out Absolute Batman.
There you go. That was the book I kind of recommended to you off camera. So it's just one that I'm enjoying right now. So there you go, man. There you go. You got the first 6 issue right there in your hand.
It is an actual book. He pulled this out. Absolute Batman. It's got the first 6 issues in here.
And I love trade paperbacks, and you picked up. So we haven't even talked about those yet, but that is just something that's kind of great. Trade paperbacks are a way that you can get an entire part of the run in different sections for a price, but for a lesser price a lot of times than that. So if you want to read a book, and this is why I always say this is the second one that you need to get. Okay. So this has I think 7 through 14, if I'm not mistaken.
So that's the book after this one, right?
Yeah, this is the book after this one. The next book doesn't come out.
You know my address, so I'll tell you what you can do. You can go ahead and just ship that to me.
Yeah, so the next book doesn't come out till September, but I'm going to pick it up as well, because it's just a great way to read the books and not really mess up your books. And because we'll talk about condition and stuff later. But before we go book by book, I want to give you a basic checklist. So anytime you try to pick up a comic, you want to try to identify these things. First of all, what's the exact title? What is the issue number? Who published it? When was it published? There's just some basic stuff. Which volume or series does it belong to? And that's something that's very confusing, especially as you start getting some of the older books and you start realizing there's series, like there's series 1, series 2, series 3, series 4, because the book's been in print for so long. So is it an ongoing series? Is it a limited series, one shot, annual, or collected edition? There's a lot of different types of books. And the other thing that's very important, is it a first printing, a later printing, variant, reprint, or facsimile? And we'll talk a few minutes about those as well, because I think you bought one that is a facsimile, and we're going to talk about that. But also direct editions, newsstand editions, these are all very important parts to either being a collector and also a reseller. So if it belongs to a larger run, or is it a story arc? Is it a crossover? So, and then, in the back of your head, why did you buy it? So until you can answer those questions.
One of the exciting things is how everything you said matched up with what he was saying. And because he would say, he said the word facsimile, and I was like, I know what a fax is, but I was like, okay, I remember Dave said something about that. I don't know what that is, but he very carefully went through it. And when he came around the counter, he stayed with me.
Oh, that's awesome. That's a great store employee. You had a great store experience. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So but once you can start answering these questions, then you'll be ready to kind of research and kind of understand what the value is. Because let's be honest, if you search for Batman #1, you're going to find a lot of Batman #1s. There's just a lot, and there's a lot you end up comparing the wrong values, especially if you don't know what printing they are and all these different things. So
to try to understand that, is that where it's the same book, but they have different covers?
Yeah, so that's called a variant, and a lot of so this doesn't really start happening until late 80s, early 90s. Mostly the 90s were the biggest one, where the variant market just kind of took off. Before, variants were very simple. A variant was you either had a direct issue, a newsstand, or it was a price variant, or there were some things that were called a print defect variants, right? You could have had it was supposed to be purple, but it turned out black. That's a variant. They sent out a bunch of them, and they make them very rare, and that's something the collector might want to grab. It's kind of weird to me, but so there was a Spider-Man issue, and I'm trying to remember which one it was, but it had the lizard in it, and the lizard came out blue instead of green. And it's a huge variant. So there's a lot of different things, but that's where you can find those. But later in the late 80s, early 90s, and all the way through now, variants are just, they run rampant. I think there was 80 variants of, maybe it wasn't 80. I want to say there was like 89 variants of one of the absolute Batmans. There's some of them that just have an unbelievable amount of variants. So anyway, you purchased some books, and we're going to kind of go through each one of those. And I think the first one you picked was Captain America and the Invaders, the Bahamas Triangle #1.
Yeah, so here it is, Dave. Love this book. I picked this up for $1. And the reason why I picked it up, if you see it, it says variant edition on it.
Right.
Okay. The only reason I picked it up because I remember you saying it. And I only paid $1 for it because, like we've said in other podcasts, it's just $1. So.
It's just $1. It's just $1. What else besides the dollar drew you to that? Besides the variant?
Just the artwork. I think Captain America is pretty cool. But
did you know anything about the Invaders before buying it?
No.
Okay, but you did notice the variant up in the corner, which is cool.
Mm-hmm.
And
#1 up here.
And the #1. So did you assume that this was the beginning of a longer series?
I did.
Okay, good. Have you read it yet?
I have not.
Okay, so once you read it, then you kind of got to make the decision: would you want more stories featuring this team? Because this starts the Captain America and the Invaders. It basically starts a whole team that they're going, or at least a storyline, a story arc.
This was something else I picked it up for, Bahamas Triangle.
I like that. I know. So, but this book,
Bahamas Triangle.
This book in particular, though, is a 1, but it's also something different. It is actually a one-shot. So it's a 2019 Marvel issue that's a one-shot, meaning it was intended to be a standalone comic rather than a issue #1 of a long-going series.
Oh, okay.
So a lot of times, sometimes either draw an interest to or bring interest to a character, or to talk about a substantial part of a different storyline, they'll do a one-shot. And a one-shot is basically one comic that
this is it. That's the story.
Yeah. So it doesn't always mean it's the start of a continuing series, but sometimes
it makes that one kind of special, though, don't it?
Yeah, it really does. So now what that means is that you can read that story, and technically you should be able to find a beginning, well, obviously a beginning, but an ending, right? And a one shot is just like it's a one shot. That's what they're calling them. So, but it is a variant because it means it's an alternate cover for the same interior comic. So there's probably multiple covers for that comic, and then they can vary in a lot of ways. Like you can find some comics that have hundreds of variants, but it's still the same storyline inside.
Right.
And a lot of variants are what they call open order. So they can order so many of them, but it really depends. Like other ones can be incentives or exclusives, and we'll talk more about that coming up. But like sometimes you have to buy so many of the regular versions to be able to buy some of the incentive ones, like a 1 in 15 or a 1 in 25, which means you have to buy 25 regular ones to get one of the 1 in 25. So comic book stores have to have the ability to be able to purchase a large number of these. But it doesn't.
I wished I'd had more time. I would have went through. I think they had like $12 boxes up there.
Yeah, that's
because he said your time will be rewarded because he goes, I guarantee you, there's Batman throughout all these boxes somewhere.
Yeah. And you
And
can find a lot of times you can find good, valuable books in there that are $1. But so a variant doesn't mean that it's always rare or it means it's valuable. It just means it's a different cover. And so that's part of it. But I mean, I think this book gives us a couple lessons right off the bat. First of all, a number one can be a one shot or it can be the start of a new series. And a variant is just a different cover, but it's not automatically a lottery ticket. You're not a winner all the time.
Well,
very cool. But
love the
it means you
artwork.
can read a story.
Yeah, I can read a story, and it's pretty cool. It's one of just one thing, right?
Yeah, exactly. So it's kind of fun. I love one shots because then I don't have to go buy the rest of the series. I get the whole story.
Yeah.
So,
well, Paul pointed this one out as we were going down through there because he said, in staying with the Batman theme, he said, look up here, and he showed me on this. These were facing out on a shelf, and I grabbed this one because I know it was a really good seller, and if you have the original, it's worth a lot of money. Right. And some people just can't buy originals.
Nope.
And it looked like the old TV Batman show, so I picked this one up.
Which is a cool one. So, and you knew right away that it wasn't the original.
Right.
Because the original would have cost you a lot more.
Right.
So
he pointed out, I think this is what they call a facsimile.
Exactly. So, and really the quickest giveaway to that is the price.
Right here, $3.99.
And in the corner up there. So yeah, so the big price, the price at $3.99 wouldn't have been probably. I can't even remember, to be honest with you.
I think he said it was like 12 cents back.
I want to say it was a 12-cent comic, a 12 or 15-cent comic originally when it came out.
But so the artwork on this whole right here, this whole comic book screams the television show from the 60s.
It really does, and it's beautiful artwork. I love the old Batman artwork, which is the reason why I collected the entire series of Batman Adventures. I love that one. And Batman Adventures has one major key in it, which is number 12. That is the first appearance of Harley Quinn. And I can't get that book. So I have the facsimile because I don't have $1,200 to throw down on that book. So, but so that is a great pickup though. Because, the Batman 156 was originally published in 1963, and it is the story where Batman or Robin dies at dawn. And but you purchased a facsimile, which is nothing wrong with that. If you want to read the story, so a facsimile is a wonderful thing to pick up if you have a gap in your run and you want to fill out that run and you're like, I can't afford that book. Like me with Batman Adventures number 12. Right now it's holding a spot. I have a facsimile in that spot because I want the whole run, but at some point I will get it, and that's when that whole run will be done. But you do have that, and so modern facsimile. You own a facsimile, and it just basically all it is just a recreation of the older comic, but it's really so that you have something to read and you can kind of look through. It's the original cover, original interior story. It actually has period advertisements in it, which is really cool. So if you go in there and look at it, that's what's cool. And the original editorial material. So and they really are just, and they're just a way to make expensive or historically important books affordable for everyone. So you can experience the original comic format and everything else. Collectors can then display their copy without paying those expensive prices. So I think that's what's really important. So,
those are the ones I got at the Comic Exchange, but then I went over to Maryville, Tennessee, and I went to the Golden Age 1942 comic book store.
Okay.
And this is one that I picked up there, and this is not a facsimile. I believe this is a legit, real old one. I don't know.
Actually, that is, let me go back and look and see. That is Supergirl, number 5? That is actually a Bronze Age newsstand, which is kind of cool. So what made you choose that book? I'm just curious.
I'll look at it. I mean, the circular pattern in it, the way you look at it, it's mesmerizing. Like it says,
it's absolutely. It says mesmerized, but that's the first word that comes to you. It's almost hypnotic. It's just like
it's hypnotic. So cool. Couple things. I mean, I did see this right here, and I was like, but I like the fact that it was old.
Yeah.
But honestly, Dave, this is the reason why I picked this up right here. Newsstand.
Right? That's an early 1980s book, and that was when newsstands and direct issues were still kind of there. So definitely a cool book. I think it's that title ran. I think it was the new. I think it ran for like it ran for 12 issues before continuing under the shorter Supergirl title. So, but that is a really cool book. So
it's not the Daring New Adventures of Supergirl anymore.
Yeah, so it became just the shorter Supergirl title.
Yeah, I already have a rare piece right here.
Yeah, and that little smudge at the top is unfortunate, but I mean that is just kind of, and especially in older books, you're going to find that if it's not being graded, if it was part of a collection or a run, again, read it and see what you think. The problem with reading a book that's a number 5, then you go, well, I really like to read number 1, 2, 3, and 4.
What got us here?
yeah, exactly. So that's what happens with a lot of people too. Is like some people will pick up a run at 5, 6, or 7. And they'll go, oh my God, this was so good. I got to go back and get them. And that's what causes a spike in the sales.
Well, one thing I wanted to ask you though, why don't they put in there like 5 of 20? Or
because they don't know how long the run's going to be. They don't know how long the run's going to be a lot of times. Now there are some that will do that. So there are some that put in a limited run. So there might be 4 issues, 5 issues, 10 issues, and they'll say 1 of, or 2 of, or 3 of. And when you see those, you'll know right away, okay, this is a short run on something. So, but yeah, that's, you noticed all the right things for it. You noticed the UPC code makes it a newsstand. You noticed that it was an earlier Supergirl series. It really is an early 80s comic book. The design, everything, that's what draw you to it. So that's the cool part about it. But again, because it was a UPC barcode, it was a clue that was distributed to the newsstand market rather than really sold at comic shops. And there's a couple of ways to determine that. Obviously, some of them with the direct issue will have just a picture where the UPC symbol is. That's a direct issue. Also, as comics were being sold as direct issues, there was a point in time where they would actually put a diagonal line through the UPC code. And that made it a direct issue as well. So you'll see those, sometimes you'll see a line drawn right through the UPC code. You'll know that that is a direct issue. It is no longer a newsstand. And that's how some of the comics, they actually got around that. But direct editions were distributed primarily to comic book specialty stores or comic shops. Whereas a lot of times the newsstands, the reason they had newsstands is that unsold newsstands could be returned, and they would go through and recycle those and actually turn them into something else, which is crazy. So, but generally direct market books were non-returnable, and that was the reason why they all kind of came out that way. So
I have 2 here I'm going to show real quick. These are free comic book day comics. They let me grab these off the stands.
Okay.
I thought that was kind of fun.
Well, and they are fun, and that's what the whole point is. So every year, once a year, they have what they call Free Comic Book Day, and they are actually free. Most comic book stores will limit you to like 3 or 4, and the size of them depending, but those are cool. Yep. So,
I grabbed those because I remember those from my youth.
Exactly, and so, did you get those for free?
Yes.
Okay, so they just have a pile. They just let you pick them up. So a lot of times they will the reason that they did the free comic book day every year is this is a great way to introduce people to new comics. I will use this as an example. Dungeon Crawler Carl, they put out this isn't the free comic, this is actually a trade. I wanted to read all of them, and this book blew up. So Dungeon Crawler Carl is actually, I think it's like I want to say it's 11 books, but I can't remember. It's actually a book. It was a bestseller, New York Times bestseller book, and they turned it into a comic, and it just they put out a free comic book day comic. That free comic book day comic selling for $30 to $40 a book. Wow. I got one. It's mine. I'm not getting rid of it. So I may actually get it graded because
these end up on the back of your shelf up there.
They may end up back there, but yeah. So it was really cool. But that's a great way to introduce people to new series that are coming out, to kind of get them interested. It gets young people involved in comics. It gets old people involved in comics, right? So it's just kind of a great way to bring people to it. And the new free comic book day, honestly, some of these comics these days, these new free comics, they can actually have some value. So you want to be really, you want to grab and go. So when you see this free comic book day coming up, and I'll let you know when the next one is, go get to your comic book stores and go grab some comics. Get some free comics. It's great. So
I went back to the dollar bins too, at that 1942 store, and I got 2 of these for $1.
Doom. So there you go. Doom Night 2099. Oh, so you got a second issue. Okay.
Yeah.
That's actually a cool book. If you're interested in Doom, that's pretty cool. Listen, Doom's gonna get big.
I'm just looking at the artwork. I'm like, wow, that's cool. I like
that. It's cool artwork. That's got some silver on it, didn't it? Some I always call it, as Sherry says, it's shiny. Yeah, it's cool. Yeah. That's awesome.
There's that one, and then I have this one.
That's a beautiful cover, actually. I love that cover.
Paloma.
So, Doom 29/7.
Her name is Paloma.
My name is Paloma. So, did you know anything about Doom before you did that, or?
I did not. But I do know now. I'm probably going to go back over there and pick up the issues before and after, because I did leave them. But I just picked out the 2 that I was doing what you were saying, David. I was trying not to overspend. I think I only spent like $12 there.
Yeah, you spent under your budget. You were doing good.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously these are direct editions, and you knew that, so you can see the UPC. It doesn't have it had the direct edition barcode on there. Usually a picture of something. Marvel liked to put pictures. So did DC.
Here was my last pickup.
Okay, there you go. Batman. That is the number 1, and I believe that is, and it should say on the front. I can't remember if it says 11th printing anywhere at the bottom.
I'm not sure.
In the UPC code. You might have to read it. I can't see it from here, but I think it says 11th printing.
Yeah, 11th printing. That's what it says.
Okay. So think about this, Wes. So the first print came out and sold out. And people that bought it, they did very well. Then the second print came out, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th. Now we're on the 11th printing. It tells you that book blew up. And it's because it is a storyline that just grabbed all the readers. But what DC did really well on that storyline was they brought in all of the characters and redid them into a different universe. You got Wonder Woman, you got Martian Manhunter, you got you've got Bane, you've got Joker in there.
Construction worker or something.
He's basically a construction worker. Yeah. He's not rich. And
I'm doing my homework. I'm trying.
You're doing great, man. I'm telling you, read that first book, and then you will be clamoring to read all of them. Read your trade, and you will be clamoring. It is the best thing DC has done in a while, and they have done such a great job at creating this universe and pulling it all together. So you've got a good book there. Now, is it an expensive book? No. But you chose it, I know, because I said something about it, but you also chose it because they recommended it.
Mm-hmm. And everybody's talking about this book right now.
It is huge. And I'm going to tell you the reason that they're talking about it is that the writer Scott Snyder and the name Dergoda is the artist. Nick Dergoda. I totally lost it for a second there. Nick Dergoda is the author, and there is a new TV show coming out. They're going to actually make a cartoon, an adult cartoon. It's not a kid's cartoon, because that book is not a kid's book. So totally different storyline, but I think you're going to find that to be exciting. But it is a number 1. And, that's what's cool about it. It's an 11th printing. And again, as the prints go down, the value does as well. So a first print right now, you can buy, I think a first print in near mint condition, very good condition, raw, is about $400, between $300 and $400. Gotcha. And a graded book, I think recently sold. One of them sold for over $1,000, 9.8.
Wow!
So it's a great series to start reading. It's probably DC's best work that they've done in a while. So I think you're going to have a lot of fun. The fact that you also got the trade paperback on that's perfect. So you picked up some great books.
Well, the thing that I want to announce before we get off here, I said this earlier about guests that they have over at the Comic Exchange in Knoxville. Paul told me that just a few weeks ago, they had Scott Snyder in there.
Man.
The writer of the book.
Did he sign? Did you? Are there any signed books for the?
I don't know that, and I was just like, "Holy cow!" You brought him in. He said, "Yeah, we had." I think he said they had many people in there wanting to see him.
Yeah, no, I didn't. And see if you can get that opportunity to get those signed. That's an amazing thing.
If I can get that opportunity, he comes back. If I can get him to sign this one might go up in value, huh?
It might, yeah. I mean, being the 11th printing, it's probably not going to be real, but the signature does help a little bit. I've sold some Scott Snyder books actually from Death Metal and some of the stuff that he did. So basically, you did a good job. You demonstrated like several different ways that you can pick up comics, several different things you can look at to be collected. The Bahamas Triangle book, the one shot, very cool book, something to read. Absolute Batman. Obviously, probably one of the biggest ongoing modern series of this time. I mean, it's just crazy. From number one forward, my only concern for you right now is after you read the first 6 books in the trade, you're going to be wanting them all.
Well, I've got a friend that's got the next 7 or 8 after that. Maybe he'll let me borrow that one. So.
Maybe I will. And then you got Doom 2099, which is actually a longer run. That's like Doom 2099, I think, is 44 issues. So if it was something you liked and you read the first 2 or 3 or 4 and you liked it, it makes it kind of fun to kind of track those down. But that's a great way of collecting. Batman 156 being a facsimile, it's a cool reproduction of a historic issue, and that's cool. And then your free comic book days, you did great. Those are just super duper promotional introductory books. Those are a great way to do that. So if you look at all these different formats, though, of these different types of books, was there anything more appealing to you than any other?
I just love the Batman. I mean, this whole, just the artwork here, it's just amazing.
Wait till you see 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Wait till you see the rest of them. You're going to be wanting to do the same thing. I bought more of them this weekend. Again, I'm actually building out my whole collection of the Absolute Batman. So
that was my first one, but the older Batman and Robin.
I like the old classic stuff.
I love that look, and if I can get my hands on some more of those, I would really like to have those.
So I think it was important to kind of know, and we're kind of look at what we're going to learn for next week. But not every run is as simple as an issue, 1 through 10. Sometimes they're very long. I mean, you look at Amazing Spider-Man. I was getting ready to come out with issue 1000 in September. Lots of comics, right? So if you're trying to collect all of them, Amazing Spider-Man, you're going to spend a lot of money. And sometimes it's kind of fun because comic events will jump from series to series. If you were to look up Absolute Carnage jumps across several Spider-Man series books. And so you have to buy all these different ones, but there's 14 total, but they jump across like Web of Spider-Man's, Amazing Spider-Man, all these different books. It's really hard. So there's a lot of different things. The core event has its own limited series, but there's additional story and tie-ins, and then there's one-shots and all this stuff that goes with that. So Absolute Carnage crosses over a bunch of them, and you get like a lot of this will happen a lot of times. I think it was there's a lot of related issues that come from those. So you have to kind of decide, especially if you're going to be a collector. If you're a collector, you have to kind of decide what you really want to collect, because sometimes just saying, I'm just going to start off on Amazing Spider-Man, I want to buy them all, you're going to spend a lot of money. I think you have to find what interests you first.
Right, and that's where I'm having pause. I got the Batman because I remember you talking about it, and it seemed reasonable to me. But I'm going to crawl at it slowly. I don't want to spend a lot of money until I even looked at some Green Lantern.
Yeah.
That I almost got because I remember Green Lantern as a kid.
Yeah.
And I didn't pull the trigger on it, but I think I may trend that way too and just see where that takes me. But it's kind of neat to know of all the different. It's kind of like a candy store. All these different candies, and you're trying to figure out what's the ones that taste the best to you, I guess.
You'll start to go down a lot of rabbit holes, especially in the comic world, because there's just so many different storylines and everything. I mean, you look up and try to understand like Apocalypse from X-Men. There's that storyline goes all the way back to Egypt and other worlds. And I mean, it's really hard to keep up with. So as a collector, I think you got to kind of start to figure out, this is where you kind of start to learn a little bit about tools, right? And you have to kind of learn about, because you got to understand what you're searching for. You've kind of identified some of the areas that you like, which is really cool. So I think you need to ask now, what am I kind of looking for and what I want to do? And you need to use these tools to kind of understand these books a little bit better. So one of the things is to look at it and try to understand, is this issue a key? And that generally is either like a first appearance or some important event that makes that book a key. And sometimes a minor key would be something that may be a second appearance or just something that happens in a book, but it's a minor key. So there's a lot of these different issues that they can call it.
There's
Why is that issue
keys,
notable?
a lot of different things, isn't there?
A lot of different levels of keys. There's major keys, minor keys, and then there's just notable events or things that happen in books.
Right.
But, you really kind of need a way to kind of do this. So, and the other thing that's important about looking for books and what you're doing is how many issues are in a series. Is it one shot? Is it ongoing? You've already kind of seen that. What's the reading order? That's very confusing because sometimes to get to the reading order, you have to read in different ways. And then which cover printing is it? Just like you learned with the 11th printing of Absolute Batman. And then what is a trade and what is it actually, what does it do? What does the trade do? And the trade is just simply the run of the books in a bigger book. So I think this is where, again, we will probably start to kind of look at, maybe this week, start to learn a little bit about Cover Price and Go Collect, or definitely Key Collector. That's going to be the one app that I'm going to definitely tell you to download and start using that, because I want you to kind of understand what you're looking at. So when you go to the comic book store this week, actually going to try to use Key Collector and look up a book and see what it.
Key Collector, a paid app, you have to pay for it.
You can use the free part of it. Some of the stuff is free on there and some of it isn't.
Okay.
But I will tell you that it from a standpoint of buying and selling comics or collecting, Key Collector is one of the better ones. I want to say it's about 30 something bucks a year, and that's it. And so not a lot, but it allows you to look up a book and scan a picture of a book and actually scan the book and tells you what's there. So, but you want to be able to use that to kind of see that. Now, the other tool that you can use is eBay. eBay does give you pricing. It doesn't give you a lot of information about the book, but it does kind of tell you a little bit about what you're doing. So, all right, so let's kind of look at real quick. We just kind of reviewed everything. We talked about the books that you bought. So let's talk a little bit about your homework for next week and things that we're going to learn. Okay, so we kind of went through the books, and then we're going to kind of begin a little bit more into a little bit more lessons as we go into the next one. So this week, though, again, your budget can be $20. I mean, it doesn't have to be a lot. Keep it light. You can leave it light for this week because you're still learning about comics. But I want you to kind of look at and maybe choose one focused collecting path, based on what you've learned this week. So you've kind of identified something. Do you want to continue Absolute Batman? You might want to find the next issue or kind of start reading the issues in order. Figure out the next issue that comes next, which is obviously 2. But you also kind of got to figure out if you want to get the singles or the collected editions, because like I said, this one is available right now. It starts at 7. So it is available. So if you want to start looking at stuff like that, but you got to read through the first 6, and then you got to have to kind of plan on, are you going to collect this? Are you going to keep this? Again, learn what you want first, and then kind of understand what you're buying. And then you can kind of figure out what you want to resell. Because the whole point of what I do is, like I said, I buy a lot of comics and I pull out of those comics the things that I want to resell. I mean, that's just the bottom line, right?
I think one of the things I'm wanting to look at is the Doom issue.
Yeah.
Since they are in the dollar bins, I can go back and I know they have the selection there that I left. I may go back over there and see if I can get a hold of those and do like what do you call them? A series run or a
run? Yep.
Run. Okay.
There you go. And that's actually one of the things I was going to tell you to do is to kind of begin maybe focus on an older run. And if Doom is one of those that's kind of cool, go grab 1 through 10. If you can get them for cheap, that's great. The first, or you can maybe try to find the first 12 issues of the Daring New Adventures of Supergirl. Those aren't going to cost you a ton either. They're not hugely expensive books, but it's kind of fun especially because I think that, the first 12 issues, it might be the full kind of run before they change their name. Mm-hmm. But, and you can kind of go through and kind of compare. You can look at the trades, you go through their trade books because they probably got a lot of them. You can see like.
And again, the trade books is that where they, like I have here, the first 6
right.
together?
Right. Okay. So they're all together. So You'll find those a lot of times. They'll have a trades and they'll have so many of them. And then the other ones they have is what they call a compendium, which has they're big. So they're all the comics. So you can find those as well. But I mean, you can kind of start doing that. But what I want you to really do is I want you to take a look at Key Collector. And I want you to start looking at some of these books as you kind of start going through them. So this week, you kind of learned to see what you wanted to collect. You brought back a nice set of collections. And I think what we want to do is kind of start finding a direction. And doesn't mean that you have to land on something that you're going to continually do. If you like Doom 2099 and you buy the first 10 issues and you read it and you're like, it's good, that's okay. So now those can go on to something later. We can resell those, or you can actually resell those 1 through 10. You can resell on eBay and make a little bit of money. Somebody would want those because maybe they're wanting to start to read them too. So that's the cool thing about what you're doing right now, is that you can take those and sell them later. It's part of the whole, collecting and reselling. Because the whole point to me, as far as what I'm concerned, I like the idea of collecting and then reselling, because it basically finances the collecting part. So, all right. So anyway,
get that.
Exactly. So anybody that's watching, you want to help Russ, if you have any comments or anything about the books that he's picked this week, you can give him some comments, right? Choose, Absolute Batman, Doom 29 run. Maybe somebody else could throw out something else that they think is a good run. I loved the Batman Adventures. And if you go in and look for any book that has Batman Adventures, you open up and look at it. The reason I like it is it exactly like the old cartoon. It is printed and everything like it.
I also like to have the people out there as well. Let me know if I should go get all the Dooms that they have, the 1 through 10. I mean,
yeah, it doesn't hurt to have a full run. It'd be kind of neat if you built that and you said, okay, this is kind of cool. I read the first one, I liked it. But here's the trick: find the first one, read it, see if you like it, and if you don't, it's okay. You can find something else that you like. Right. So I think, like I said, the other thing that I want you to do is I want you to download and take a look at Key Collector. And again, it's on your phone. You can just scan a picture of the comic. It will scan it. It'll tell you everything about that if you click in there.
I do have it on my phone now. I uploaded it yesterday, and I think what we'll do is practice with the ones I have here.
Exactly. Go on there, and so once you scan a picture, there'll be a little photo thing in the top right-hand corner. Click on that. It will scan your photo, the actual comic, and then at the bottom right, you'll see a little eye, and that's for more information. If you click on that, it takes you into the comic, actually tells you all about it, whether it's a key or not a key. It tells you all the information. It gives you a synopsis of the story, the whole thing. And then it also kind of gives you a price guide. So it says it's worth, and generally most of these you're going to find are worth $1, $2, and $3. That's the way it works. Low, medium, high, $1, $2, and $3. But you may find some that are worth $5, $10. or more. And that's the beauty of having the Key Collector app. So I'd like you to kind of start doing that and look at that. And then next week, come back. And what I think it would be really good for you to do is also scan a bunch of books and just keep a picture of them so you know what they are, and tell me what you learn about them. So if you find any books, or if you find any books that have a resale value above $5, maybe you want to look at that and see. Because what I generally do is on Key Collector, if I see something and I scan it and I go, I don't know about this book, and I look at it and I go, oh, wow, that actually has a pretty good high value. I'll look at it on eBay to say, what does it sell for? Because what are people willing to pay? Because Key Collector will tell you what it's probably sold for in the averages, but eBay will tell you what they pay for it. So,
well, and if anybody's doing this with me, if you're wanting to get into comics, you're doing it with me, let us know what you picked up this week. That would be interesting to find out as well. So let's do the lessons together.
So that's basically a simple one for this week. Next week, we'll get into a little bit more. We'll start talking a little bit more about different runs and different things. But this week, I just really want you to learn the tool and figure out if you want to collect a run, or if you want to collect singles, or how you want to do this and what you want to look at. And then you kind of start thinking about it from a reseller standpoint. We'll kind of dive into that in the next few weeks. So that's it for Wes Learns Comics.
That's it. Dave, before we go, I'd like to point out the icon up there above your head that says The Flipping Truth. That is a podcast that David and I do. We're on a reselling podcast. If you want to hear some other things about reselling that we talk about, please go over there, like and subscribe on that channel as well. You can find us there. You can also find me on the Finders Flippers Resale Podcast. And David, again, tell them where you're at so they can find you.
Come over and find me on Breeze Flippers. I'm on YouTube at Breeze Flippers, and I do a weekly top 20, top 10 comics on Thursdays at about 3 o'clock. I put that out every week, and then also on my shows, we talk a little bit about reselling a lot of stuff, but I also have a what I call a short box minute, where I try to dive into some subject about comics almost every episode that I do. So come over and check us out, and we have a lot of fun over there. So I appreciate you letting me help you out, Wes.
Yeah, man, I appreciate you. And one other thing I want to mention, I'm also on another show.
More
We
time.
just started. We're everywhere, Dave. Beyond the Whistle with Wes and Mark. It's a actual basketball rules podcast that we go in a little deeper dive behind the whistle of what refs are thinking while they're calling things, and we talk a little bit of rules, and we have guests on there as well. Like I said, it's brand new. Come join us over there, and we appreciate everybody. Thank you, Dave, again tonight
Thank you,
for
Wes.
helping me. I'm looking forward to completing lesson number 2.
All right. Well, happy collecting, Wes. We'll talk to you soon.
Take care.